How do you build core stability? Most people want to use balance tools like a BOSU or like one of those sort of balancing discs, and they're all well and good, but what we're going to do is how we can do it more effectively. So first of all, what is core stability, or what is stability? Well, it results in smoothness of movement. So what we're looking at is the muscles of the hip, the spine and the shoulders, which are put in an unstable position but still have smoothness of movement. So what we're going to do in this tutorial is talk about how we can create that without using tools like the BOSU or those balance balls. If we're stood on them, then it's ankle. So it's not necessarily core stability, it's ankle stability, foot stability. How we get into the core is we take that away, and we need to take the feet out of the equation so we can get to the hips, the spine and the shoulders. So what we're trying to do is get our body into a position where it feels unstable. Now, when you're wobbling around in that position, when your shoulders are jerking around, when your knees might be jerking from side to side, or you might be losing balance of your hips, that's showing that the muscles are twitching and trying to catch each other, which is an unstable position to be in. So what we need to be able to do is get into these positions and have that smoothness of movement. So what we're going to look at next are 4 exercises that can do exactly that, so you can build greater core stability. The first 2 exercises we're going to focus on are more stability based. The second 2 exercises, we're going to add a strength component to it, so it's going to be strength and stability. But for now, we're just going to go with a kettlebell. And exercise number 1 is half kneeling. Now, why is this more effective for the core? Because we're taking the feet out of the equation, because we're down on one knee. So what we're focusing on the side where the knee is down, we've got the hip that has to do more of the work. This hip is a little bit redundant because of the bent leg. So it's really focusing on the stability of here, and then what we're trying to do is maintain balance. So when your feet are apart, you've got a greater base, so you'll feel more balanced here. So with regards to the stabilizing nature of this exercise, it can be quite minimal. But what you can do is just bring this foot across, and then what you'll find, if I come all the way across, so I'm literally on a tightrope, what you'll find now, you can see I'm sort of trying to catch myself. So you can start to see that I'm starting to become a little bit more unstable. So this is now my small stabilizing muscles really trying to hold me in the position. So first of all, we have to get, as at a, let's just say a beginner level, we have to get this right, because if we start adding stuff up on top of it, it's not gonna be effective. So we need to get this stability right here from the hip, which is going to help stabilize the spine. So we can start with our arms across the chest, or we can come into this position. Now, this may be too far for you. You may just need to come to here, or even here. But what you do is you start when you get to this position, and then every time it feels easy, you just come across a little bit until, as you can see now, I'm starting to wobble. Once you've got this position down, you've started building the stability of the hip. So what we're doing is we're getting the smaller muscles of the hip to start to time and coordinate themselves more effectively. Because when we're able to stay level, those muscles are holding that position more effectively. And they're not sort of trying to catch us and and they're sort of contracting and relaxing, contracting and relaxing. So this is the stable position to be in. What we're going to do next is add an additional part to make it more unstable. We're going to stay on one knee, but we're just going to add in a kettlebell. So this is just a 6 kilo kettlebell. Now, we're going to add some movement to it, because what we want to do now is shift the center of gravity, because that's what the muscles are trying to read, which is your center of gravity. So the more unstable it becomes, the slower and more uncoordinated your movement is going to feel. So, for example, if I go right into this position, then what you might find is that I have to think more as I move the weight. In the movement, I have to stop and start, and it becomes a little bit jerky as I hold the position. So again, you're not seeing that smoothness of movement. So the muscles are timing, which is interrupting the smoothness of movement. But if I do this, and then I do exactly the same, I can come straight across. So I'm stable. When I'm here, I'm unstable. So it's these small muscles that aren't recognizing the position very well, and they're catching up with each other, which is what all the movement's about. And then I have to slow and make my movement jerky to hold the balance. So that's the first part to it, is we're adding this movement in, and that's affecting how we can move. What we then can do, we can take it a step further. We can come into this position, and we can take it around the head. And again, the more I come on a tightrope, what you should see is, because I'm trying to keep my balance, I've got to slow the movement down to be able to hold the balance. But again, if I come wide, I can go straight round with no problem whatsoever. So I'm much more stable in this position. So these are the two stability exercises. What we're now going to do is add a strength component in with the next two exercises. The two exercises we're going to use is, from a fundamental level, plank and a side plank, but we're going to add in an arm raise and a leg raise. Arm raise with the side plank, with the full plank, and leg raise with the side plank. Now, how this is creating stability is, again, holding the hips in position. So I'll show you what happens when I'm unstable. Is I come down into this position. So if my hips are unstable or my core is unstable, which is bringing in stability into the spine, is you'll see the hips will weight shift, they'll rotate, they could drop or they could pick up. What they don't do is stay flat. When I'm stable, it looks more like this. So what you see there is the hips staying centered. So when I pick my arm up, all that's happening is other muscles have to start working. But if I weight shift, they're not getting me, they're not catching me at the right time. So when I pick up, they're not doing it, so the body goes, all right, I've got to move to help me stay up. Then it catches. Once we get stable, they catch, and then the hips don't move. So what we have to do is we have to train our muscles to be able to do that. So one way that you can do it is, when you come into the plank position, is pick up very slowly. What you'll find then is, as you pick the elbow up very slowly, you'll feel the muscles working. So you'll feel them come on as well as you lift the elbow up. What you then have to do is, once you get into this position, is you then might have to force the hip down. So you might have to counter the weight shift by forcing your hip to stay down. So you've got to work consciously. It's not just a case of going into the exercise and going, yeah, this is great, bang, bang, bang. Hips are flying all over the place, weight shifting, all sorts. What we need to be able to do is keep those hips nice and centered. And how we can do that is lift up slowly, put on the back, feel the muscles come on, lift up slowly and force the hip down. So we've got those couple of ways of being able to do that. With regards to the side plank, it's very similar. We start with everything stacked, we come into this position. If we're unstable, we'll do that. And as we pick up, the hip will drop. If we're stable, the hip will stay up. It won't move, it will stay nice and level all the way through. Because what's happening is the muscles on the underside are holding and contracting more as soon as you pick that foot up. So it's the same principle. If you then want to learn that, what you've got to do is come up into the position, again, move the foot, take the pressure off the foot very slowly, and what that will do, you'll feel the muscles come on, and then you'll be able to hold. But it will take some training, it will take some time, and that's exactly how the 12-week program is structured. We don't just throw you in doing these types of exercises, we throw you in with more simple exercises to build the stability in more stable positions, and then slowly get you more unstable, and then build in the stability over the top of that. So it's not just a core training program, there is a process to it, there are targets to it, there is a theme and a process as we work through, which is how the workouts are structured over the weeks that they are structured. Once you get to the end of the 12-week program, you can then go into the intermediate and advanced workouts, which are more movement-based, which have more equipment-based type of exercises, so you can challenge yourself in new and different ways. So if you want to build core strength and stability, just click the link below, go straight through to the 12-week program and get yourself started.